When you decide to try to do a YouTube channel, you sort of get embedded in a lot of political fights, which you never intended, but are there. So, what is the big issue? Well, there's been a big polarization between the so called alt right or light right grifter channels and their allies, and other channels which are more like watchdog channels that expose them, and they're going back and forth. And one of the more curious figures is Just Some Guy. For those who don't know, Just Some Guy identifies himself as black and queer. Now, I don't know if he's technically bisexual or gay, but he's a male YouTuber who puts himself out as a black YouTuber and usually works with and sides with Nerdrotics, Hill versus Babyface, and some other pretty racist content creators. But occasionally he will sort of defend gay rights here and there, and I mostly don't like him. I think he's a liar. I think he's pretty stupid. And I think for the most part, he's not to be trusted. I will say this, though. He seems to actually read comic books pretty regularly, so he's pretty strong there. And he actually does read Tolkien a little bit, although I think he misreads him a lot there, too. But at least he puts in some real effort at research, which a lot of these channels don't even bother. They just do very lazy. Woke this, evil gay people, too many black women in Batman or something or other. So I thought we could just confine our issues to just the politics of the content creation, and that's it. But apparently he may be doing some very suspicious things in addition. And there's three pieces of evidence. Again, I'll be honest, I think two of them are weak, but one of them is very, very alarming. So what happened? Well, this happened a while ago. Apparently this controversial film Cuties came out, and apparently he was pro Cuties.
Also, the Cuties thing, where he defended Cuties and said if you had a problem with it, you're the pedophile.
Now, that in of itself is not too bad, but this is coupled with something else, because remember, he is gay, and occasionally he will be pro-queer, but I want to respect him and not jump to the conclusion, which some people have, that maybe he is, for lack of a better word, a C-word predator. Now, is he a predator? But there is this additional suspicious piece of evidence. Again, this could be him just being pro-gay, but it is a little problematic.
And now he's complaining about the book bans in Texas, where it was literally found that one of the books, genderqueer, full blown had a BJ scene where a chick is sucking a dude's dick, and a girl literally flashes her vagina and pisses on her lawn, and that was in fucking elementary schools. And he's saying people wanting to ban that are just religious right bigots that don't want children to learn. Like, no.
Well, one way out of that situation is to say he's just anti-censorship, because it is a fact. A lot of these Christian conservatives routinely target a lot of books, like 1984, Toni Morrison, Stephen King, but really they don't like the politics of the creator, so they basically just make it up and say, this is just too explicit to be shown to children. You should take it out of the schools. Again, maybe Just Some Guy was standing for anti-censorship. I have my doubts, because as this YouTuber is noting, this had some pretty X-rated content, and I saw a video where he tried to go into this, and he was, to put it mildly, a little deceptive. So I've not liked his content for some time, but whether he's a full-blown predator seems pretty strong chart. But then something else happened, and this was pretty shocking. Basically what happened is that there was this weird gay choir that put out a video where they made a song basically trying to justify, for lack of a better word, underage relations. Now, I am also on the left, and I'm a person of color. And when it comes to sexuality, I tend to be very tolerant and say, well, you do what you want to do, I do what I want to do, and let's not get into people's personal lives. But this definitely seems to be very, very problematic. And what's really alarming is some people in that choir turned out to be, yes, actual predators. And we're going to see this evidence brought to Just Some Guy, and he basically tries to gaslight people.
Covered it. I said something like, there's a rumor that a couple of these guys may or may not be on this thing. They look kind of similar, but other than that, we really don't know. But there's like two or a couple of them that look similar. But at the end of the day, and I said this in the video at the time, it doesn't really matter at all, because the song itself and what they were making was really messed up.
Oh, are these the motherfuckers who did the "Coming for Your Kids" shit?
Yeah. It's irrelevant.
It's a stupid song to make, right? I understand, but we all understand that it's a tongue-in-cheek song. We all understood that, right?
Well, I mean, I think they
joking.
It was
repeated the "I'm
tongue
coming"
in
part
cheek.
like several times. It's just
Yes,
fucking
but-
creepy.
I
I
have no
understand that's
doubt that
creepy,
some of
but
them
you
were,
do understand that they are joking.
Well, as far as I know, the choir was not a parody. Also, when he apparently was on Twitter, given actual evidence saying, no, we found the photos, the people in the choir, they're apparently actual criminals. He basically said, that could be anybody. It doesn't really matter. And he even said, well, why are you looking this stuff up? Like, why are you even looking at this stuff? If you're against the gay porn, why are you looking this stuff up? Are you into this stuff? He basically didn't answer the question. And again, he erased, I think, a lot of his tweets. So something suspicious was happening. Because again, he cultivates this very alt-right audience, so he gets a lot of Christian conservatives, but occasionally put out an anti-Christian pro-gay video, and that's his prerogative. He's always been clear he is on the left, and he is gay, but for the most part, he tries to stick to the script and puts out the anti-feminist, quote, anti-multicultural, anti-woke stuff, and blah, blah, blah. But occasionally he will put out a pro-queer video, and you're like, is he playing both sides? Is he really this stupid? Is he that cynical? Or is he an actual predator? I don't know. I'm going to do more digging. So consider this a question mark. I mean, unfortunately, I wouldn't put it past him. So he may be doing some tricky stuff. And I want to congratulate people like Comic Book Hut and others. So they've been doing a lot of work in exposing these people. And they targeted just some guy way before I did. So he's a very, very curious person. At the very least, he's not to be trusted. But maybe he just is being very biased and from a very black queer perspective. I don't know, but it could be he is also using his identity to do very questionable things in his private life. And if he gets exposed, he can always say, well, I never hid anything. I've always been this person. So it's a very clever tactic to sort of say, well, I've maintained consistency. But I don't think his audience quite is aware that he is a predator and is actually proud of it. Again, we don't know for sure the narrative that he is some kind of watchdog to be trusted is not exactly true.